Hello, scholars, and welcome to your week 4 wrap up. I want to highlight three comments that I thought were particularly interesting this week from our discussions, and also just make an observation based on my own experience in relation to some of the content that we looked at this week. So, first up, it was obvious that one particular area captured your imagination quite a lot, and that was the question and the discussion around algorithms. And of course, in the context of this particular week's module, the purpose of this question and this topic was to sort of tie together a few different things that we had been looking at over the last few weeks. Specifically, really, the purpose of this was to highlight how data is used, including how data can be used to serve you and your purposes as you wanted to more widely disseminate your research. So, really remembering that the discussion that was had there, part of the bigger framing of that was thinking about algorithms and how data is used, but equally how you can use that to help more widely disseminate your research. Three one particular point that I want to make that I thought was interesting, something that I observed in the way the discussions were happening. I tended to see people falling into one of two camps. Either there was a sense of like, well, inevitability about the collection of data by third parties, whether we wanted to or not. Once we were moving around the online space, there wasn't a whole lot we can do about it. Too bad, so sad. This is one of the things that we just have to live with. And then the other way, of course, we had of looking at it was, there were people there who were commenting saying that there are actually ways that we can minimize the impact that this has on us and be a little bit more circumspect and about the ways that our data is collected. And one of the comments I want to highlight here was from Hamish, who made exactly that comment and gave some examples of where it can be different and where it is different and some of the steps that he takes to make sure that that happens. And I really want to emphasize that, it is actually possible to reflect the values that you hold around your life and the way that you want your privacy maintained and the way that you want data to be used related to you in your offline world. That can be absolutely reflected, of course, in your online world as well. And so I really encourage you to start to, unpick what are the things that you can do to have, pick a more nuanced path through the jungle of digital, so to speak, and not just take for granted that this happens and there's nothing that you can do about it. We very much have a lot that we can do and many steps we can take. And as researchers, we're in a great position to start to, think about and question and search the way these, search for more information about how we can be a different kind of digital citizen as we move forward in our careers. So yeah, that was super interesting, and I encourage you to get in there, have a look, and have a think, and see how you might be able to do things a little bit differently and just move yourself a little bit along that journey towards being a more digitally competent citizen and human being and researcher, of course. Another comment that I thought was particularly interesting in that same topic again was a comment from Bahar, who noted that, of course, the issue isn't just one of data being collected by big business. Also, a really concerning context where data is collected is within the context of government, of course. And obviously, there's different countries will have different policies and different approaches around this, but it's very much part of like the online world as well, and how information can be used. And I particularly loved how his point that, algorithms is about power, because what algorithms allow us to do, and I include us in that, we are enabled to sort information, to segregate information, and to leverage information in increasingly powerful ways. And so, if you just assume that this is something that's out of your control and you can't do anything about, you are divesting yourself of a huge amount of power. So, I liked this framing of it, this reminder that this is something that's happening on a much broader scale, a much bigger scale, and the implications for this are enormous. And of course, I know know that if this is an area of research for you, which it may well be, the use of government and data is very much a topic of concern for researchers in this space. So there's a huge amount of things you can research and look into further there. And I encourage you to start with the resource that Bahar has shared from NPR, because it's a fantastic one. Really interesting. So thank you very much, Bahar and Hamish, for your great comments there. And for everybody else who's participated in this discussion, I'm finding it really exciting and really interesting to see how you're taking information and applying it to your own situation, and asking questions and wondering, and being honest about where you don't see how things can be different. And by doing that, you're allowing yourself to raise your awareness and also to be open to the opportunity of things being potentially different. And that's a huge part of being digitally competent and capable. It's about knowing, and being able to say, look, I don't see this being any different. And it opens the door then for different types of conversations. So well done. That's fantastic. We are seeing some amazing also images being shared, which I'm really appreciating. Some great infographics from Thomasina, and there's another great infographic there with the iceberg model of what goes on in the web. And again, this is all, this is really, really great to see how we are making sense of all of this. So excited to see that. Another point that Thomasina makes on the discussion around how you might be able to frame your research for an article in the conversation is something that I really liked, and also reflects what a lot of people were saying, that of course we're very early in our career and it's very difficult to figure out what we can pitch ourselves as experts in at this point. But Thomasina has some really interesting comments about, like, she starts to think about who are the other people that she could write with, and who are the other people that she could draw on to flesh out a potential article or series of articles in this area. And I saw that a few of you were doing that, and that's a great way to be thinking about it. And certainly I think something that I heard before was that if you're thinking about a collaboration with more experienced researchers, oftentimes they don't have the time or the know-how to be able to pitch their research for a general audience, because, for example, they might have been involved in their subject for so long, it's very difficult to remember what it's like not to understand their topic. And so a way that you could establish trust and build a network with other types of researchers is potentially to put your hand up to project manage the writing of an article like this, that's more generalized in nature, but you are still very well equipped to comment on it and to write about it, while also highlighting the work of other researchers. Now, who's not going to be happy about an offer like that? So that's a potential for collaboration, a low stakes way, I think, to think about how you can do research dissemination, build your skills in that area, but also, of course, to build connections and your network with other researchers. So I think those were the main points. Yep, those were the main points that I wanted to sort of highlight from this week's discussions. You're doing fantastic. Keep it going. I wish you all a great weekend, and I am looking forward to seeing where else you take this conversation in the meantime. All the best, everyone. Stay well. Bye for now.